I'm not gonna lie, like I low key listen to it myself. I'm just like, yeah, bitch, just like up there in my
Yeah, yeah.
myself and hope and pray no one next to me knows that it's me because that's awkward. Can you imagine driving past the car and someone just jamming to their own music? Like, what a weirdo.
My name is Nasipi. One is my surname. I'm the founder of Sledge Underground Podcast, and today I've got Carla Franco with me, who is an amazing, amazing musician. She's got over 80K Spotify streams, and this is something that I want to actually sort of zone in on because it's really an impressive feat. As artists, I assume, I'd guess that streams are quite important. It's one of the ways that musicians can monetize their stuff. So this is something that I really want to get into, Carla. How do you actually go about this? Is this like an organic thing? How do you ensure, or how did you hit that 80K milestone when it comes to streams?
Honestly, I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know. I remember just waking up one day and my partner was like, "Have you seen numbers?" And I was like, "What are you smoking? Like, what are you talking about?" I think a lot of it came from being the cover of the Salt playlist on Spotify. And
Okay,
I think that
okay,
really boosted a lot of sort of listeners. Scared to Love is another one. And it's so odd because obviously, as I've gone through the industry, I've been told a lot like just try and stay away from that sort of acoustic, sad girl
yeah,
music. That's not what's going to be palatable in terms of the commercial music industry if you want like
yeah,
street. And I think I just got to a point in my career where I was like, no, I'm gonna write what I write, and that's that. And oddly enough, the song that people told me not to do were the songs that did the best. So I honestly don't have an answer. I think my attitude towards it is I'm just grateful, and I just hope that people keep listening and keep streaming. It's been a bit of a wild journey. I think I try not to look at those numbers because it can go one of two ways, right? Which is I need more numbers, but then the
yeah.
larger part that I choose to focus on is thank God for the numbers. There was a time where I only had like 800 streams, and I was like, yeah, 800 streams. Watching that sort of go up, however slowly, is still going up. So I just choose to be grateful and sort of be like, that's wild. And I just hope it grows.
I mean, you do say that it's you don't have an answer for that, but I feel like it's very valuable what you just said. The fact that people were suggesting the sort of stuff that you should do, and you were just like, listen, I'm going to do my own thing. It's just being true to yourself and just being authentic. To your sound. I would say is what I picked up there, and it's absolutely incredible that you've been able to achieve that while not having to sacrifice who you really are as an artist.
Thank you. Yeah, I think also it was just like coming down to I had nothing to lose. Like I was a new local artist. It's not like I had banging numbers. So I was like, I don't have anything to lose. So I might as well do what actually feels right. And when you have nothing to lose, you take the risk. And
Yeah.
I think that's just ultimately what took off with it. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. And obviously, you are out in Cape Town and that's where you're pretty much based. And, there are a lot of great musicians out in Cape Town. We've had quite a few bands, from that side there. In actual fact, there's also been a couple of bands that have moved from Durban, where I'm based, and have moved to Cape Town. And they've made a huge success of themselves. What is the climate like there? In Cape Town, what is the music scene in Cape Town like, and how would you say it's conducive to what you're doing as a musician?
Being in Cape Town, like obviously that's like a stepping stone, right? I'm from Bloemfontein, which is like
Yeah.
Bloemfontein. And I then I then went to the Eastern Cape to study, and then I went back to Gauteng, and I was based in Gauteng for about 4 or 5 years. Had a
Yeah.
great run. Like I really love Gauteng. I know people call it the concrete jungle, but there's really a lot of essence and culture and diversity
Yeah.
in Johannesburg. So that was hard to leave behind, but I just got a job opportunity as my 9 to 5 as a teacher in Cape Town. It was a no-brainer.
Very
Uh,
nice.
I just felt it was time. It was time to just kind of try and get into the Cape Town music scene because it's a completely different ball game. And I just again it was I have nothing to lose. Like I might as well go. This is something I've always imagined doing. The music scene in Cape Town, I think, is still new to me. I mean, I've only been here for a year, and Cape Town's one of those slow places. Like you don't just come to Cape Town and be like, yeah, I'm here, let's do it. It's really a different set up in terms of the openness that is in Joburg isn't inherently, yeah. It's not a bad thing, it's just different. And so I actually recently did a band or bus competition with Tex in the City, and House of Machines. And that was really, other than opening up for Casey Lowry in December last year, it was my second gig since I've moved here. And the finals was actually yesterday and we won. So whoop, whoop.
Well done.
And that is really setting the tone for, my music career in Cape Town. It's new. As much as it's still South Africa, it's a completely different setting. So you're kind of at the bottom again. You've got to network from the start. You've got to like build up sort of who you know, how to get live gigs, how to do that. But I think also Cape Town, I think is a lot more receptive to my style. And that was unexpected. I really thought like Pretoria and Johannesburg, I was worried that like the audience wouldn't receive my music as well, and they've
Yeah.
actually received it better. I think Cape Town just has an extra sort of appreciation for the artistry behind what we do, rather than the fun behind what we do. Does that make sense? So I'm really
Yes.
looking forward to gigging more and getting out there more. My focus right now is creating, writing, and networking, and that takes time. So I'm enjoying it. I think I'm finally
Yeah.
getting my feet. But yeah, it's a slow process. Not in a bad way, just different.
I think it's rather interesting that you're mentioning it being a slow process and being new to Cape Town, but you're obviously being noticed and recognized by one of the biggest platforms in South Africa, being Tex in the City. And that's absolutely incredible to do, even for just artists who are starting out or artists that, aspire to be recognized by a platform like Tex. How do you sort of go about that? Is it just part of, the process? Is it stemming from the stuff that you did previously and it's just sort of like a knock on effect?
We actually submitted my album to Tex, my first album, my debut album, which was Chapter One, and the review was heinous. It was so bad. Oh my word! I was like, "It's gonna break me. What am I gonna do?" And I was just like, "No." And I actually spoke to Tekla, which, if you're familiar with Tex, she runs the show, and she's just like a badass queen. And I was just like, you
For
know what?
sure.
Thank you for that review, because it really propelled me to make sure that layers would not leave room for a bad review.
Mm.
And so I think through the album, I think they were semi familiar with me already, but nobody had seen me live at that point. And then one of my friends, actually, oddly enough, 2 days before the deadline for Band or Buzz, she was like, just apply. Like, what do you have to lose? Just like apply.
Yeah.
And at that time, I had a drummer and a bassist, so I was like, we can do this. Like, we legitimately can make it happen. And I
Yeah.
applied, and I was one of the 6 artists that were selected. Thank God. And that is
Nice.
ridiculous a lot. I think when you enter a platform like that, the introduction to other artists as well. Like I worked with Pixie, worked with Dali, with Cinematic Rejects. Like I'm also getting to know artists I didn't know. So I
Yeah.
think it definitely, again, it just branches out a lot more. So I think that opportunity has really been great for me, because beyond just performing, we're also connecting with other artists that are from here, that are writers, that are producers, that work in a team. And
Yeah.
that kind of dynamic, it makes the journey a lot less lonely. I think being an artist can be
Yeah.
a very lonely thing. And just knowing that like it's okay, like we're all going through it, like it's gonna be all right, just like keep pushing. So it's been a really inspiring opportunity and a really eye-opening opportunity. And I think that's what it's about. I always say like there's enough space for all of us. There really is enough
Mm.
space for all of us. It's just a matter of like egging each other on, rather than being like, but why do they get it and I don't get it? I think there's a lot of
Mm.
beauty
Mm.
in that room of I want this for you. And I think the karmic energy of that means you'll be rewarded. I really believe like what you put out is what you get. So yeah, it's been great. It's just been a really great opportunity that I'm grateful for. But it's also platforms like this. We need these things, and like artists that are independent, like myself, it's a struggle. Like and I don't think people understand how expensive it is to do what we do.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm just grateful. Like as much as Tex is also a platform, this is a platform. It's like just opening up that door for everybody. So I
Mm.
think it's just making space for artists and paying attention to artists, and these platforms allow us to do that. So I think it's just a matter of gratitude. I think that really sort of the space I'm in right now, just a space of gratitude.
Mm.
And it's completely altered my mental health, and it's altered my approach to music in the best
Mm.
way. So that way, I think Cape Town's offered me something that nowhere else has offered me, this element of
Yeah.
just gratitude.
And I think one of the key takeaways from what you just said there as well is just being able to take, all sorts of criticism. You'll take the good stuff and you'll take the bad stuff. As you said, text, the review wasn't quite, desirable, or one that was,
I think the
positive
latest
in a
review was
sense.
so yes. It's fine.
Hey, that is epic.
I believe critique should propel you rather than break
Yeah,
you.
100%. Mm,
So again, perspective. I think perspective will really determine whether you're gonna like shoot for it or just let it end. And it's tough. It
yeah.
gets all in this industry. So yeah, I think if you just
Mm.
have an attitude of gratitude, you'll be good.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the hip hop guys in the industry once said, "Don't hate, congratulate." So it's definitely up that alley, and it's something that I can really appreciate as well.
That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. Don't hate, congratulate. I love
For
that.
sure, for sure. I see you also worked with a band that we've had on the show in the past, deep within lockdown, Zebra and with Allow Me. So you guys worked together on the track. How was it working with Zebra? Because they're one of the most fun, guys out there.
You've interviewed them, which means you know they are a bunch of clowns. Let's start there. Funniest lads I've ever been around in a long time. And I think sometimes people, because they're so energetic and fun, that the music isn't good. And
For
when you
sure,
hear Bum's voice, like you hear these boys' voices, it's unreal how much talent is
it's
there. Like
beautiful.
I think a lot of people get caught up in their fun because I think that the essence of Zebra is fun and a celebration of South African culture throughout. That's really how I summarize them. And I literally didn't even know them. I'd walked into Son Studios. I had a rehearsal we had a gig, I think it was Malk Fest, and we were just rehearsing for the show. This was when I was still based in Pretoria. And one of the guys that worked at the studio said, "Listen, why don't you just stay on? Zebra's going to rehearse. I think you'll really enjoy their music and really enjoy the guys." So I was like, "Cool, I don't have anything to do. I'll stay." And in
Yeah,
that way, I met them and I just reached out to them and I was like, "Boys, like, long shot, but like, I've got this song." And I had that bass line for Allow Me, that doom, 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 doom. And I don't know, I just thought it needed that proper African essence that they've got.
for
And I was
sure.
like, right, let's go. And I reached out to them and they were like, "Hoy, let's do it." It was so much fun. We actually have a behind the scenes video of the whole process. And it was just,
Nice.
it's fun. I honestly don't know how else to explain it. They're just a fun group of boys and a really talented group of boys. And I mean, even Duncan, like, I don't know if you're familiar with like Duncan's drumming skills, unreal. And I was really surprised by like their music talent and their vocal talent. Um, oh, it was just such a good time. I smile every time I think about it because they're just so much fun.
Yeah, and I really love what you said there. You needed sort of that African essence in there. And I don't think there's any band that's as South African as they are. I mean, they bring that proper South African sort of sound. I remember listening to Allow Me and I was like, this is South Africa.
It really is. I appreciate that. Thank you. Because like that was the goal. I was
Yeah,
like, I'm not
yeah,
trying to write a technically perfect song. I just want to write a bop and just have fun with it and celebrate our culture and the diversity of our culture. That band itself is diverse. So it just felt like the right fit. And I'm just very grateful that we're keen to be on the project.
yeah. And one thing I really appreciate about you, Carla, is the fact that, you aren't afraid of collaborating with, local artists. We just spoke of Zebra right now, and in Layers as well, you collaborated with quite a few, South African artists, and that's something that can really be appreciated. At the moment, which other South African artists are you sort of listening to? Which bands or local artists are on your playlist at the moment?
I really thoroughly enjoy Mikasa. I think just because it was like the essence growing up with them. Like, I mean, I was listening to like Liquid Deep. I also really enjoy Lungelo Moore, another artist that I collab with. I'm an artist. What a cool dude. And like he grinds, man. I don't know many artists that grind like Lungelo grinds. So I think it's also just like a respect thing, just knowing how much he grinds because he loves us so much. Like there's nothing else that makes sense to him. Yeah, you put me on the spot, man. That's what I got. Not my great answer, not my finest moment, but I just completely slammed the blank there. So
You gave me some pretty solid names there. I don't want to lie. So you did a solid. There's plenty of artists. All of them are super talented, including yourself. And speaking of talents, obviously you dropped a banger, recently with Big Talker, which is a very beautiful song. It was my introduction to the world of Carla, and it's the song that Warren came to me with, and he's like, "Dude, you gotta check this out, and you gotta have Carla on." And I listened to it, and one of the things things for me that stands out is just how powerful your voice is. Like there literally isn't anyone right now in South Africa that has a voice as distinctive as yours. Like you can instantly recognize, oh my gosh, that's Carla, you know. And obviously, it's absolutely incredible. The song itself, the writing, the vibes, absolutely beautiful. Tell me about the recording process of Big Talker and how it came about.
Firstly, if I could jump through the screen and hug you, I would. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Honestly, so the recording process for Big Talker was actually whack. I'll be honest, like let's be straight with one another. Like I was ready to just hang up the guitar and be done. Like that was the point I was at for Big Talker. I was just like, I don't know that like on a teacher's salary that I can afford to keep being an independent artist. Like it's difficult. Like a lot of times you feel stagnated and it's hard to like process that you are so much further than you were before. I think I'm incredibly driven. I know what I want. I know that my craft can get me there. I believe in my craft for the first time in years. Like I truly feel like I can do this. Like I can do this. Whereas, you know, in the past it was like, can I do this? Whereas now I'm like, I can do this. Like, and I'm going to do this. And I think I just reached
Mm,
a point where I was like, how much more like can I do? And I
yeah,
thought to myself, you know what, Carla, pop isn't your essence. Like pop writing is tough. I always tell people like I'm very good with the saddies and like indie
yeah,
acoustic sort of music. Like that's my route. But to
yeah.
do pop is a skill. Like you don't just do
Mm,
pop. It's a learned skill. I think some people get it naturally. So pop for me is a
yeah,
challenge. Um, and I just thought to myself, I had that rope that doon 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 doon, and I was like, this is giving late 90s, early 2000s, and it just took me to
yeah.
like Wheatus, Teenage Dirtbag, and like Blink 182, which is like
Nice.
handy is what I was listening to, like in my like late primary school, early high school era.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, it was so nostalgic, and through that the writing just came. And
Mm,
I just remember thinking, honestly, like I manifested it. I was like, this is a hit. Like, let me go record this because if Big Talker doesn't make waves, hi, ball. Like, guys, you
yeah.
know? And I reached out to my friend Wesley Van der Westhuisen because he also moved down from Johannesburg. He's got a
Mm,
home studio, and I messaged him and I was like, I want to do vocals. I want to lay down the guitar stems. When can we do it?
yeah.
Literally 5 days later, went into studio, recorded it. Big Talker was a lot of fun because I did all the harmonies myself. It was the first time that I
Nice.
went to the studio and I had a very concise, very clear idea of where I wanted this song to go. Because usually I just kind of feel it. And we did all those harmonies, and I'm really starting to be obsessed with harmonies. So for me, it was super fun because I was like, I really get to bring out this sort of punk pop era of my career. And I think Lullaby in Layers was really sort of like starting to hint at that. And I think Big Talker, we just nailed it on the head. And it was so fun to record. I recorded the whole process. Then I sent it through to my producer, Hendrik, who goes by Palachrome. Excellent producer, an even better friend. And we've been working together since chapter one. It's just a team that makes sense. He understands what I want to do. Like I always say to him, thank you for understanding my language through music. Like there's no
Mm,
one that
mm,
understands me like Hendrik does. And that kind of pulled everything together. And within 2 weeks it was done. I sent it through to Gareth at Virgin Music. And he was just like, Carla, this is probably like the best song I've heard you do. I wanted to do something a little more quote unquote commercial. That was definitely the
okay.
intention behind Big Talker.
Yeah.
And I've just come to really enjoy it. We actually did it live yesterday, and hearing the crowd like sing along and having a bop with us, again, like it was just such an enjoyable process. And I do
Yeah.
think it was very divine intervention because in recording Big Talk, I was like, you're not hanging up your guitar. And in that way, Big Talk is one of the most meaningful songs to me, even though it's not the deepest song I've written, just on the basis of it reignited me. And reminded me that this is what I want to do. I'm not gonna lie, like I low key listened to it myself. I was like, yeah, Big Talk, you know, just like bubbling in my
Yeah,
head
yeah.
myself and hope and pray no one next to me knows that it's me because that's awkward. Can you imagine driving past the car and someone just jamming to their own music? Like, what a weirdo. But it's just, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think it was very necessary to do Big Talker for greater purposes than just a song. So yeah, I
Mm.
appreciate that you've been enjoying it because yeah, it was intended to be a fun song.
At this point in time, right, the Big Talker
Music
music
video now.
video has dropped. It has dropped
So
at
listen
this
to
point
Big
in
Talker
time.
watch the music video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how did you? Okay, how did you guys come up with the concept of the music video? It looks absolutely good.
I want to create content that doesn't feel like a burden. I really want my brand to be polished and to be very clean and very expensive. And especially in
Yeah,
terms of gigs. Like I want to be known as the artist that's always on time. My band's always gonna look good. We're gonna make sure
yeah,
everything runs smoothly, reliable. And I think that is missing in the industry, but it's very important for me
yes,
that I'm not one of those artists. And so I was like, oh, to create expensive looking content is expensive. Like if you have the proper, proper videography, the proper setup, it's not a cheap, easy thing to do. And that
mm,
puts me off content creation. I almost become paralytic. It's like I don't even know where
yeah,
to begin because I'm so caught up on but what is it going to look like? What do I do? What if it's cringe? And I was like, I am awkward. Like I'm an awkward human and I am a dork and I'm just I don't care. Like I'm a clown. I will embarrass myself on the daily for the sake of like making people laugh and making people have a good time. And I was like, my music doesn't necessarily reflect that. Why don't I reflect that in my content? Because if you come to my live shows, that's how I am. But
yeah,
what about people who are listening? What about people who are streaming? What about people who are watching? And that was the key moment. I'm like, I'm gonna create cringe, chaotic content. Like that's gonna be what it is.
beautiful.
Because then it's not as paralyzing. And so I just started making a fool of myself. And I figured Big Talker with that nostalgia and that fun commercial sound that it's got, everything fell into place. I was like, okay, this is
Mm,
the time I'm going to push TikTok. I'm going to push Instagram. I'm going to create this content. I'm an actor fool because that's who I am. Like I take my music
mm,
seriously, but the person I am is I just like to have a good laugh. I don't think we laugh enough.
mm,
So
yeah.
literally on my TikTok, I'll be like, this is where you come for chaotic and cringe content. Like that's what it is. And so it's just authentic, fun, me acting like a fool, hoping you guys will listen to my music. That's really all it is. And so Big Talker's music video encompasses that.
Carla Franco, I want to thank you for joining me for this chat. I've learned so much about you, and I really just love your music. I love what you're doing. Your product is super clean, and I also just want to thank Warren as well for organizing this with Plug Music Agency.
Warren!
Such awesome people, for
Warren!
sure. Yeah, and yeah, where should people find you if they want to find your stuff? You mentioned, Instagram, you mentioned TikTok, and so on. Give us your handles.
So I'm most active on Instagram. I think that's a generational thing, I'll be honest. I'm the most active on Instagram. Really, that's where you're going to find everything. It's Carla Franco underscore official. If you want TikTok, it's Carla Franco underscore SA. But if you go to my Instagram, there'll be a link in my bio, and it's a short link that'll take you to all my socials. So one stop shop, go to Instagram at Carla Franco underscore official. You'll find my threads, you'll find my TikTok, you'll find the Facebook, you'll find YouTube, you'll find Spotify, you'll find Apple. Everything is there. And you just type in Carla Franco on Spotify, Apple, Deezer, Google Play, whatever it is that you use, and I'll be there. And if I'm not there, please let me know because that's whack. What is that? But yeah, that's where you can find me. And yeah, I really, really hope that people enjoy the music. And I think through me, I hope they also learn more about other artists because I'm very, very passionate about making sure that other artists are also getting noticed and that we all can just
Mm,
live this dream. I think we all want it really badly. And there's enough events, there's enough going on that we can all thrive and shine. And also in a digital age,
mm,
there's nothing stopping you from streaming other artists' music. So yeah, Big Talker will be on YouTube, obviously. And I'm
sweet.
really, really looking forward to more people, more listeners, and yeah, I hope people enjoy it.
Epic. And yeah, for those who have been watching this episode, I just want to thank you as well for tuning in every week to check out all the wholesome guests that we have. I hope you've learned something from Carla Franco as well. Do remember to check her out on the socials, but also check us out as well. We are on Instagram at Sludge Underground and obviously on TikTok as well. We recently joined in there, so do check us out. It's at Sludge Underground. We've got our Discord server that is currently out. I'll leave the link in the description, so do join that there. And obviously, one of the best ways to support Sludge Underground is to purchase that merch. As you can see in the background, I've got some of that there, wearing it myself as well. So I'll leave all the links to the store as well for you to check that out. Otherwise, I think we should play out with just a snippet of Big Talker since the music video is out. And for anyone who's listening to the audio version of this, we're going to play a bit of the audio for you. But I do urge you to go out and stream that, on Spotify. Go watch the video, add to the views. But yeah, ultimately, thank you for tuning in. From myself, Nasipi, at Zwane Otiwan on social media, and Carla and I, it is bye for now.
Big talker, sweet talker, you've been on my mind. Say you wanna see me, wanna kiss me, but you never will. You're a cheater.